Hello and welcome everyone to the Ninja Racing League NRL Top 8 night. And welcome back everyone. This is going to be a wonderful hype night of 4 matches, 1v1, best of 3 coming at you here. I'm joined in the booth this evening with Mr. Fabricator General. Hello, Fab. How are you doing this evening?
All right. Good to see you again, Mr. Retrofile.
Pleasure is all mine. Welcome in, everybody. Glad to have you all here. Thanks for queuing up and hanging tight. So we got 8 people lined up. We'll show you the bracket here momentarily, but let's talk about the story so far about how we actually got here in the first place. We had 5 groups last week, 23 participants in the NRL. The winners of each group have all moved on. So you can see in there, in the first group, we had Edo take that based on the highest point totals. Each group ran 3 races, and the higher you placed, the more points that you got. Retro Runner won the second one, Beer Full of Belly, Knucklebuster, and Arcus. Those are your top 5. Then we had 3 wildcard entries that came in from this. In this case, it's going to be Lane Rayner, X Christine, and Gray Skull. It's based on the next highest point totals. Lane Rayner had 9 points, so he made it in. And then we had other people with 8 points. We had Gray Skull, Lick Arcade, and X Christine. The lowest average time based across those 3 runs is what actually qualified them to make that cut for top 8. So that's the picture that we have. And based on that seating, this is the current bracket that we have today. The first match you'll be seeing here tonight is the Retro Runner versus Lane Rayner. And we have Gray Skull versus Beer Full of Belly, Arcus versus Edo, and X Christine versus Knucklebuster. So we're going to be going through those, getting our top 4 then going into next week. For finals week, it's going to be July 31st, next Saturday for this one. But Fab, what are you thinking for this first matchup tonight? Retro Runner versus Lane Rayner.
Oh, this one's going to be exciting. So from SRC standings, we have Retro Runner, who's 2nd place, and we have Lane Rayner, who's 7th place. So Retro Runner has a PB currently of 1138.3, and Lane Rayner has an 1151. I believe he has an 1150, but he hasn't submitted it. And this is going to be a good race. Lane Rayner is very, very fast, but I think Retro Runner has that consistency. I think if I remember correctly, Retro Runner had an average of 1208 from the first group stage races, and Lane Rayner had a 1309 as an average for his runs from the group stage. So this is going to be an exciting race. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, this one I think is a fantastic opener for this evening. We're going to have, again, guys, a reminder, this is a best of 3. The first person to win 2 races moves on. This is single elimination. So everyone is fighting for their tournament lives here to move on and progress into the next weekend in that top 4. So it's going to be a real good one overall. If I had to pick my guess out of the gate here, I think we're going to see this one go the distance. We're going to have 3 races for this one. I have a hard time choosing who it's going to be at this point. Obviously, Retro Runner, a fan favorite going into this based on him being seeded so highly, but you can't sleep on Lane at this one. He's shown that he can do really well. Even right before this race, he was doing some practice, and even with race strats, he got an 11:52. Retro Runner from last week was actually the one that had the fastest time out of all races and participants, and I think was the only one to score a sub 12 in the race last week during the group stage.
That's right. And as we saw last week, I mean, literally anything can happen in these races. So you never know. It's a race environment, and it's basically no reset runs. You don't get to try again. So literally anything could happen.
Agreed. And that's the best part about this. You guys are in for a treat. Kick back, relax, get comfy. We're in for some top tier Ninja Gaiden play tonight. There's gonna be some surprises, some upsets. Some amazing moments, that's for sure, and I'm glad to be here with you guys here for this one as well. So we're going to go and get our racers set up and get our off and running for the first race for tonight.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and give them the 60-second warning, so we should be going here in about a minute or so.
Very good. So just out of the gate here, just got to say that there's some adjustment period for both runners here. That I know that the mental game for both these is very strong. There's nerves here that both want to deliver as best as possible. Retro Runner, of course, number 2 in the world, and Lane Rayner also no slouch in the 7th position. Lane got in as a wild card. Retro Runner won his group, so both of them fighting for pride as best as possible. I guess the main key here, hands down, consistency is key. I mean, but this is not like you're going for average times tonight. You are looking to win, and there's no other people in your group. It is a 1v1. You have to be thinking about what your other person's doing here. And I can tell you, just based on what I know from Retro Runner and Lane Rainer, they're not listening to this broadcast. They're not watching this. And I think that's the best thing to do, is put yourself in that vacuum. Don't listen to commentary. Don't watch the stream. Just play your game as best as you can. Avoid those mistakes. Fab, what do you think in this matchup here, out of curiosity? What do you think is going to be the crux, like the main stage? Do you think it's going to be stage 5, stage 6, anything in particular?
I think stage 5, that seems to be, everybody calls it the rage stage, and that's the one where literally anything happens. I think 5-2 is like the number one, the lemon drop screen is like the number one killer. 5-1 as well. We saw a Retro Runner took a death last week in 5-1. So I think Act 5 is really going to be the crux of this. I think besides Act 5, I think what could turn the tides in this race, and it did last week in those races, was, excuse me for a second, I'm having to re-ready this chat. What turned the tide in the last race was boss fights, and I think in this case, Lane Rainer may employ some different strats as far as boss fights go. We saw him trying to kill the demon without killing the tail earlier, and I think that could make a big difference as far as his time goes. I'm not sure what Retro Runner's strat is as far as the demon goes with Lane Rainer in particular, but that's a place where Lane might be able to make up some time. If Retro Runner's going to be safe and kill the tail, Lane could do a tail skip and try to steal some time back.
Right, you are there, Fab, and away we go here, folks. The first match of the night, Retro Runner and Lane Runner coming into stage 1. Should be pretty straightforward. I know that Lane was practicing that sign grab that's there. It's not entirely free. You can make some minor mistakes here that cost time, and literally every single second is precious now. Again, like I said, we're not going for average times here. You just need to outplay your opponent. You need to win 2 tonight. So good luck to both the runners here as we're going to be making our way downtown for a nice little tasty beverage here at the bar.
That's right, and I did not see the beginning there. I was setting up the race room. Did we have a little bit of a delay on Retro Runner's screen? It looked like.
It looks like that seamless link here running in the background. I think he synced things up very, very nicely overall.
Okay, good.
So.
Okay.
So we should be looking good there. Unlike
Excellent.
Last time where we had multiple people, we can sync things up between the two folks.
Good deal. So he's running a little bit behind Lane, but not very far. Maybe a second or so at this point.
No, definitely not an insurmountable gap between the two at this point.
Nope. It looks like he may have already caught up on that climb right there.
And I mean, so maybe Fab, you can talk a little bit about the quick climbs here. Like we hate ladders in Ninja Gaiden, and what is the risk versus reward when it comes down to these climbs that we're seeing here?
Well, if you do climbs throughout the entire run, it can, and it varies based on your skill and how you climb and how fast your climb speed is. But the rule of thumb is somewhere between 6 to 8 seconds of time save over the course of the entire run. So those quick climbs, they really they add up over the course of the entire run, and they can really make the difference in overall time. They can be dangerous though, so these two runners have a lot of experience with them. Retro Runner is probably one of the more consistent quick climbers, along with Arcus. When he climbs, you can set your watch to them. He climbs the same number every single time, does it the same way every single time, and you barely ever see an error out of him.
Look at this sync.
Yeah, they really are. They're right with each other here.
This is what you like to see. I expect we're going to see a lot of this today. We're in 2-2 right now, which is actually one of the first early hurdles, hands down. We want to make sure that we avoid those God Hammers. The global timer is the invisible enemy that you can't defeat.
Yeah, and you saw there Retro Runner took an extra 5 Nimpo into that last pillar. That's very smart, because you can negate that God Hammer from that last Hammer Bro if you have an extra spin to give off at the end there.
Agreed. Yeah, have that little extra safety spin to work with if you need to. You love to see it. Okay, on to Act 3-1. 3-1, if you play it properly, you basically never have to let go of holding right if you time your jumps appropriately. Stopping the timer, grabbing the star, grabbing the art of the fire wheel, as Retro would say. He's all given us that tutorial that's burned in our heads at this point. But coming into 3-2, do you think tonight, Fab, we're going to see anyone go for the butt clench cliff and someone just basically leave it all on the table, or are we going to go complete safe race strats now?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. That's scary to even think about. We had one last week. Razul, he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it last week on the third race. So stakes are a little higher here, though. So I don't know. I wouldn't expect to see it, but I also wouldn't be surprised. A lot of these racers are familiar with doing it, and it's in their muscle memory. So it's not out of their wheelhouse for sure.
So I will say that Lane gained a little bit of time there with the double bird boost, the double scree boost there, and both going with the safer cliff on that one into Massacre. Act 3, we don't have spin slash to work with, so you got to use the art of the firewheel. Both of them getting a very nice looking standard kill. This is a hell of a race out of the gate here. Wonderful to see.
Yeah, it really is. This is neck and neck already.
What do you think the mental state is for both of these runners right now? Do you think the nerves are spiking, or do you think that they're starting to calm down now as they get into the rhythm?
You know, so before the race, they were chatting it up in the race room chat, and they were both saying they were pretty nervous. Lane Rayner had a very long, nervous chat message in there. But I think, you know, I will say that personally from racing, once you get through Act 3, without any major errors and you're moving along, you start to relax and get in the groove a little bit.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Lane had that lead with the double scree. Retro Runner's climbs were really on point. You actually could see him pass on the ladder.
Oh, Lane Rayner taking a death over the track. Oh my goodness.
That is a deceptively difficult jump, especially if you have to do that jump and slash on that bat. That's very unfortunate to see here. So Retro Runner now lengthening his stride. Lane's gonna be feeling that one.
Yeah, that's probably a 10-second loss or so. I mean, he's lucky in this particular stage. It's not a terribly lengthy loss because you start right back at the beginning and you get an opportunity to get spin slash back at the end of the stage. But he's going up against Retro Runner. He can't afford that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he was saying that earlier as well, that basically, like, it's, even though he got an 11:52, he was thinking, like, well, you know, that may not be good enough. Or he was saying, you know, he got like a low 12, which would have been a really good time last week. But, you know, you're going up against Retro Runner at this point. You know what he's capable of.
That's right.
And he's putting on display. He's got his climbs completely dialed in. It looks like things are looking pretty good. Coming up to this bullet boost here, one that saves a whole heck of a lot of time and very easy to get. I think it doesn't take people very long to learn this one.
No, that's Retro Runner's favorite boost in the game right there.
It's a good one here. So we're coming up to Kelberos. I would say you can literally let go of the D-pad, just hitting jump and spin, and you win.
Spinning and winning.
Spinning and winning. Speaking of here, Lane Rayner coming into Kelberos as well, so about one boss apart as Retro Runner coming into that rage stage 5 that you'd mentioned earlier there, Fab. And this one, I would say, pay some special attention to both and see if there's any differences of how they tackle this. I will say that when we get into 5-2, when we get to that lemon drop section, that I expect that Retro Runner might actually go up and over, and Lane Rayner will actually probably do the Ohan drop, where he actually goes to the right cliff, the left cliff, and then goes down to try to take things a little bit safer in that regard.
Yeah, you're probably right about this. And we're getting to that point in the game here where the global timer being a little bit different from what you're used to in PB runs is going to make a difference. Looks like Retro Runner had a really great 5-1, got the manip and the double bird boost, had the right side climb, saved a lot of time all over there. Lane Rayner is down some Nimpo. He missed a 5-po at the very beginning, but he also got the manip and the double bird boost.
Yeah, looking good. Definitely trying to hang in there as best as he can and hoping that Retro Runner will make a similar mistake. Like you said, the death that he took is definitely not the worst that you can take by any stretch of the imagination. He's able to recover pretty quickly, and you can say, I mean, they're still within the same group of each other, you know, 1 or 2 screens apart. Not too bad. But here comes Retro Runner coming up to the lemon drop section right now, taking that boost off that bird, and actually does a pretty nice lemon drop. Well, let's go.
Unbelievable. It was interesting. He spun the bat on the prior screen, which he doesn't normally do. So interesting that he felt like he need the safety there, but took the risk for the lemon drop. And Lane couldn't take the bird boost at that last point. He's very low on health.
Oh yeah, so the health situation here pretty dire coming to 5-3, which in and of itself is just an absolute endurance. The climb up to Malth standing at the top is very, very difficult. But I will say that Lane did do the Ohone drop where he went over the right side, left side a little bit slower than the lemon drop, and a little bit safer and more consistent, at least for him.
That's right. TRR got his got the SP boost. We're gonna see here if Lane Rainer can pull up. Lane Rainer does it a little bit differently. He likes to clip that right side wall and flip flop his way up, but he gets it as well.
That's another Ohon strat, as far as I'm aware. And oddly enough, that's the way that I learned how to do it as well, because doing those two quick climbs can be kind of difficult. But grabbing the wall and then just doing the two flip flops is pretty straightforward and easy.
I agree. That's the same way I do it as well.
Malth going down on Retro Runner's side, entering the last stage, Act 6. So we're in the final act now of this first race. Again, best of 3 here, folks. So if Retro Runner does take the win here, you have to win one more to win the set. But Lane Raider has a chance to come back.
That's right. Looks like Lane is about 10 to 12 seconds behind at this point.
Okay, coming into stage 6. 6-1 is pretty easy if you get all of your slashes in the right spot. You're probably going to see Lane Rainer do a safety strat with that swag star here that's going to help basically remove any sort of problem from this hammer bro up here on the ledge. Oh, actually, he did not go for that, oddly enough. But I did see him do that strat before, just try to eliminate any sort of issue. I guess maybe he's kind of feeling it, just going to go for the time as best as possible. Don't even slow down to throw the star.
It does seem like he's feeling it. He's going for a lot of his regular run strats, and he may, I wouldn't be surprised if he thinks Lane Rainer. If Lane Rainer is 7th on the SRC board, TRR may feel like he can't just sit back and use safety strats all the way through. He can rely more on his muscle memory and try to go faster, because he may think he really needs to go faster. He's got a formidable opponent here.
No eggs Benny on Retro Runner's side, taking the much safer Gremlin boost that he has. Lane Rainer going into Hell Hallway as Retro Run begins 6-3, the final stretch of the game before the 3 final bosses.
I think he gets a good bird boost there. Again, this is the portion of the run where you never know what the global timer is going to give you. Lane Rainer making that exit all the way into 6-3 now as well. It looks like TRR may be actually lengthening his lead a bit. I'm not sure if he made some time up on the climbs, but it looks like the space between them is actually lengthened.
He has played extremely cleanly throughout here. I mean, this looks like one of his runs is kind of following the script in his mind as best as possible. So he's playing very clean and consistent. Literally, the only major mistake that Lane has made was that death at the beginning of 4-2.
That's right. Very clean runs. And Retro Runner opts for the fast B-fob strat. Very risky as well. But, Lane getting caught up on that ledge. Good backup, though. But Lane is about 19 seconds behind at this point. So TRR did pull ahead even further.
He's got to clutch it out, though, here. He's got Jackio going for this plate kill, the 1.5 cycle. And looks like he was 1 or 2 slashes behind, so that's going to be a 2 cycle. Still very good.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be interesting here to see if Retro decides to cut the tail or if he decides to go straight for the heart.
I don't think we're going to see too many tail cuts today. I think that most people are just going to be going in as best as possible. They're feeling good.
You're probably right. It looks like he is going straight for the heart here. He's taking some bad shrimp, though.
But that's
nice.
Going to clutch it out there with a beautiful time.
That is an excellent time. Looks like the race time GG showing 11:53 for that time. I'm not sure if that's correct or official, but that may be a little bit far behind. I think, official race time for TRR is 11:44. I'm sorry, 11:41.
11:41 in a race? Right. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Lane Rainer with a 12:05. That's the fastest race time we've ever had.
That may be one of the fastest race times ever recorded in any Ninja Gaiden thing.
I think you're probably correct.
Be really honest here.
I don't think that's ever been done. I would agree. That is absolutely insane. That looked like a PB run.
Exactly. He did not give Lane Rainer a single inch to come back whatsoever. Even if Lane didn't take that death, I don't think he would have been able to take this anyway, because that's even beyond his PB at this point.
That's right. I mean, Lane Rainer has an 1150 PB, so I don't see how there's no way he's 9 seconds behind.
Yeah, that is insurmountable. So oddly enough, Lane can look at this and kind of think about it that, look, you know, it's discouraging you took the death and that you could play a little bit better, but even if he played at the absolute best of what he could today, that run is way out of the reach of pretty much everybody at this point. So I can't understate how good the run was overall. But on the same coin, Lane also played extremely well and mentally recovered very well after a very stressful death in the beginning of 4-2.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really great point. Is Lane can look back at this and say, well, you know, I did die and I was disappointed with my run, but at the end of the day, I can't beat that.
And that's what it comes down to. That is one hell of a time, folks. So look at this, literally the first race of tonight, and you guys are witnessing history right here with a Ninja Gaiden, with easily the fastest race time that's ever been recorded. So that is unbelievable, hands down. All right, guys, just we're gonna get everything kind of set up here on the back and get the second round ready to go. Retro Runner looking to close this one out as best as he can. Lane Rainer looking to battle back and hopefully take us to a game 3 here and keep his tournament chances alive.
Yeah, we got the new race room set up. I've got them both in there. Retro Runner is going to take a small break, and then we will. Looks like he may need to take care of something, and then we will go on to the second race.
Sounds good. So Fab, let's unpack and analyze what we just saw here on this one. Retro Runner, did you notice any like noticeable or major mistakes that he made? I mean, he's 3 seconds off of his PB at this point in a race setting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back on that run and think if he did anything that wasn't a time save. He had some bad climbs that were sort of uncharacteristic. They weren't bad overall, but for him, uncharacteristic climbs. He did a safer free fall. He always does a little bit safer free fall. I can't think of any other safety strats, honestly, other than he spun that bat in 5-2. That was a little bit different, but otherwise I didn't see that he did a whole lot different at all.
Well, like I said, he did not go for eggs Benny, so he could have done the faster strat there a little bit, but I think that's absolutely the right move. There's no reason to go.
That's true. That's half a second. So that combined with the free fall, you're looking at maybe a second to a second and a half tops. And
he didn't get the plates. He got a 2 cycle instead of a 1.5.
And that's the rest of the time right there. That's literally it. You have lack of X Benny. You have a 2 cycle instead of the plate. And maybe a little bit of time loss on a lack of a good free fall, but that's it. Other than that, you have a world record run.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. How about that? And then Lane Rainer on his side, I mean, really, the only problem that we can point to for that, I mean, he did everything else to the best of his ability. He did really well against the bosses at the end. I didn't really notice any problems overall, but it's a statement has been made out of the gate, and you have to kind of think, if you're in Lane's shoes at this point and you see what that happens, I mean, do you put your hands up the air, or you just basically just run it again and hope for a mistake?
Yeah, that's exactly what he was in each race room. You know, you can chat in the race room to the moderator of the race and to the other fellow racer, and that's basically what he's saying right now. Is just, you know, how does anybody compete with that?
Yeah, how about it? So if the Retro was looking to come out here and make a statement out of the gates, he's absolutely made it now. Basically putting everybody in the tournament now on notice, especially if he closes this out a 2-0. We'll see what happens. But Ninja Gaiden does Ninja Gaiden things, and it's unpredictable what this game is going to throw at you.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point, Retro. That you know, if there's ever a time in this setting to make a statement, to come out and make a statement to everybody, this is the race to do it. It's the very first race of 3. So if you lose, you have 2 more to go. And so you might, if you want to make that statement, throw caution to the wind. This is your race to do it. Absolutely.
Now, talking about the race psychology here, obviously feeling very strong and confident after that one. However, you can lull yourself into that false sense of security here that Retro's feeling like, oh, yeah, I'm playing great. I'm very consistent here, looking good. The second win should be automatic. Like, you can't go into it with that mindset, though. You have to be very, very dialed in and focused and like, okay, I did it once. That race is in the books. Nothing else matters now except what's in front of me here.
Yeah, and I think that's I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Retro Runner, if he's playing head games here, if he's trying to get in Lane Rainer's head and say, you're going to have to beat, 3 seconds off a world record run to get me, and just making Lane Rainer feel like, how am I going to do this? I wouldn't be surprised if Retro Runner's second run has a lot of safety strats in it, and he starts to dial it back and just take it easy here.
Yeah, pretty much. But you can't rest on your laurels here. Again, Lane Rainer looking to strike back. If he didn't have that death and Retro Runner made a mistake, I mean, that definitely would have been in Lane's favor. That's all it takes. And you have to play consistently for 12 minutes on end in front of all the people we have here. And especially now that Lane it's basically do or die now. It's you have to do it or you go home is what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we are. So we should be starting here in a minute. I just let them go on the race room, so they should be kicking it off here momentarily.
And here's the restarts. Reset of spaghetti, mash, mash, mash. And here we begin in Act 1. Good luck to both of our runners once again. Retro Runner up 1-0 here in this best of 3 series. And let's see what we can do on this one and what story is in store here for us. So, Fab, do you think we're going to see another 11-4X from anyone else today?
Oh my goodness! I don't know. I can't imagine. So BFOB has an 11:48. That's his time on SRC right now. Arcus, of course, with the 11:38.06. He's got the world record. Other than those two runners, we have no other runners with 11.4s.
Absolutely insane, but would love to see some more sub 12s today. And overall, pretty textbook stage 1 from both runners here. Moving on to stage 2.
Yeah, I agree with your earlier comment. You can't sleep on Lane Rainer. I would, if I'm Retro Runner right here and I just had an amazing run, I'm taking a very deep breath and reminding myself that I'm going up against one of the fastest ninjas there is right now in this game, and a very motivated ninja as well. And I am reminding myself that I've got a lot of work to do to make sure I close this out.
Agreed. There are some very small gotchas in Ninja Gaiden, that things that you start taking for granted after you play for a little while, especially with trained ninjas such as this, that just small things, like even like right here, the bounce house, like if you just right there, a little slip from Lane, did not get the left input there, or the jump input rather, and just walked off the edge in the process. Didn't take a death. But just that's a small time save right there. He's gonna be super hypercritical of small things like that. He's gonna notice.
And that's one mistake, but even smaller than that, the climbs were significant earlier, and Lane Rainer actually ended that stage about 2.5 seconds behind Retro Runner. Even though that one issue with the bounce house probably cost a second to a second and a half, he's still a good 2.5 seconds behind already at this point.
Crazy to think about here, but again, 2-2, a scary initial hurdle to get past here. A lot of things go for. Ooh, Retro Runner not getting the bat boost. Lane Rainer taking the lead.
Wow.
And just like that, just small things like that can sway it. It's just unbelievable to see things like this happening here, and we're back in this.
You're right, Retro. At this point, I mean, we're talking about these are the top of the top. These are the absolute best Ninja Gaiden runners in the world right now. And at this point, it's those small things that are going to make a difference.
Especially when you played the game enough to the point where you notice even just small things that maybe we don't even notice on our side, that, oh, I could have done this better, or I jumped earlier or later than what I'm used to during my runs. That small things like that you can kind of key into, and it kind of will get in your head for a while.
You're absolutely right. I probably played this game for a good 3 or 4 months before I realized that movement speed had so much to do with this game. Just the speed of your flip-flops and not getting stuck on walls, etc. Was a ton of time save, regardless of strats. Wow.
Look at this. Retro Runner having some difficulty here. It looks like he missed the star throw, had to go back again. Lane Rainer lengthening his stride. Oh my God.
That's going to be a huge time loss. I mean, that's massive. This is legitimately, this gives Lane Rainer a serious shot at winning this race.
So you can tell, like I said, the rhythm was lost there. That mistake of not throwing the star and not getting that or the firewall, he had to back up on that one. That throws off everything. When you have that flow and you have that script in your mind that you can go to, all the muscle memory that you've trained over runs of having perfect 3-1s, as soon as that gets broken, you have to kind of roll it back and kind of start playing that music right from that middle of the section again. And sometimes stuff like that can happen, just small stuff.
That's right. After that, he wasn't able to kill that gunner, and so he had to contend with jumping onto those blocks with the bullets coming at him. And it was a very, very tight jump, and it made him land a little bit too far forward. And I think, he only had a frame or two probably to press jump on that final block and just went right off of it.
Yeah, very, very scary moment there. Lane Rainer pulling away now in this one. Yeah, that is definitely a far more significant death than Lane took in the first race here. This is making...
Lane Rainer took a death as well.
Oh my God.
He hit the bat. So prior to that, he was 30 to 35 seconds, somewhere in there ahead of Retro Runner, but this is going to give Retro Runner another 15 seconds or so, probably.
Now here's the fun part. Neither one of these runners, if they're not paying attention to this broadcast, and I don't think either of them are, neither of them know where they are and where the other runner is. They don't know how close they are at this point. They both know the mistakes that they have taken, and they have to both be thinking that they're behind right now. They're going to both start playing out of their mind to try to catch up, even though that we're still super close.
That's right. So it looks like Retro Runner's 10 seconds behind at this point, and you're totally right. If Lane Rainer just died here, there's no way in his mind, after just having lost a race to a guy who got an 11:41, no way he thinks that Retro Runner is actually behind him right now.
If only he knew. But here we are into 4-2. By the way, I guess we should take a quick moment to talk about that 4-1 bat boost. That you can take that safe by just running off the edge if you want to, and then sometimes if you jump and hit it at just the right angle, you just get thrown in the pit like Lane did.
That's right. It's actually a little bit rare, I feel like, to actually get hit by the bat and not land back on the opposite ledge. So taking a death there is actually pretty rare.
Rhett, you are there, Fab. All right, moving on to 4-3. We'll see what's in store for us here. Lane out in front still, but you got to think that both of them right now, they're both in panic mode in their own way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Retro looking at this point like he's about 8 seconds behind. And he's got to think he's even further behind than that. No way he thinks Lane died.
Agreed. Okay, so here we go up to the bullet boost. Lane does not have spin slash.
How did he lose spin slash? Did I miss this?
I must have missed.
Maybe he failed to get the backup, I guess. That's gonna. I mean, this is gonna cost so much time with the doggo kill. There's no way he catches up here. I mean, he's gonna be behind.
Okay, he died on the flop is what
okay.
Just while we were talking there, but unfortunately Lane losing that, and he's got a pretty good mash, but right now he's gonna bring this back. Man, just so many weird things going on in the second race.
Wow. So that's gonna put him probably about 10 seconds or so behind. Retro Runner missing the manip there, had to go back for it.
Wow, how about it? Okay, so both of them right now in a pretty rough spot. TR had to react to that hammer, got hit in the process, had to do a climb up the left side. Some things that you normally don't see him do in this section.
Yeah, this is becoming a very interesting race. There's a lot going wrong here. This is very unlike the first race for sure.
So in a weird way, it honestly feels like watching both of these runners. They're both running scared. Is that they don't know what the pace is, where they are, what's happening, and they feel like they need to pull out all the stops, and just other things are happening in the process. So I would not be surprised if we saw another lead change happen here at some point before the end.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like Lane is about 12 seconds behind from what I'm seeing here.
Now, another thing to point out really fast, since Lane has taken 2 deaths right now, he is sitting at 0. He could take a game over. And for those that don't know in Ninja Gaiden, if you take a game over, you go back to the beginning of the entire area. So in this case, we're at 5-2, you would go back to the first screen as opposed to the last screen transition if you just took a normal death.
Right, looks like Retro Runner got through that lemon drop screen just fine. He took the bird boost, and he's looking good on Nimpo, so he's set up. Lane Rainer just missed the bird boost as well. That's going to put him back on his health is getting a little bit low there as well.
Yes, the birds unfortunately doing 3 damage and not getting the benefit of that boost, losing a little more time here, just bleeding time as he goes at this point, unfortunately, and that's just adding to the stress. And that would be for anyone in this situation. I mean, put yourself in his shoes right now. Think about how the results went for the first one and how this race is going. Lots of weird things to adapt to that just don't feel right.
Okay, Lane Rainer hitting the SP boost there. Retro Runners through 5-3. This is unbelievable. I would not have. This is so much. There's so much back and forth in this race. I did not expect this at all.
Agreed. This is not how I expected to play out by any means, but Retro Runner knocking at the door now. Act 6 looking to put this one away, but it is a long trek to get there, even if it's only just a few minutes.
Yeah, there's still plenty to go wrong. I mean, as we've seen, this little small stuff, and Act 6 is not an easy one, so this is by no means over.
Agreed. So 6-2. Ooh, that's an odd hammer that he has to deal with. Had to slow down, but did a nice dodge there. The patience was very nice there.
Looks like Retro Runner is actually increasing his lead just a little bit. He's about 14 or 15 seconds ahead at this point.
Looks like Lane having a pretty clean 6-1 here, so he will gain some time back, albeit a small amount.
Retro making it through that first screen pretty quick.
Very good. We've got some climbs up here on this side. Okay, let's watch the climbs on Retro Runner's side. Very crisp. Oh, slips a little bit there on that one. Let's see how Lane goes when he gets there. But looks like Retro Runner knocking at the door at 6-3 here momentarily. Let's see how he gets this one done.
I would still not expect an Eggs Benny here. Yeah, okay. Looks like he's going for the standard boost across.
Nope, super clean. I mean, that's the way to go. There's no reason to gamble on it like that, especially if you get the pattern where basically the gremlin can kill you, even if you get the jump and everything looks good. Yeah, Ex-Benedict Arnold. That's what we refer to.
That's right. It really is just a world record strat. It's a half-second save for a strat that is very, very difficult to pull off, even if the game is going to give it to you, which it doesn't always do.
Agreed. And here we are, Lane Rainer here in 6-3 also. Retro Runner about 1 screen away from the door. Looking to put this one away. Will it be 2-0? Everyone right now collectively has to hold their breath.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, so he makes it over the bird boost without a god hammer there. Retro Runner's looking good, plenty of health going into the final screen here.
Got a nice B-Fob boost on that one. So all that's left is Jackie-O and the Demon.
Yeah, it's really just gonna come down to this Demon fight. Ooh, Lane Rainer.
Lane not getting the B-Fob boost, kind of getting stuck there in the process.
Oh, he's getting moshed up too. He's got 1 health left. He's got to be very careful here.
And that is a plate kill on the Retro Runner side. Well done from Lane to survive that.
Absolutely. That was really good survival strat, despawning that hammer bro, making it through the end.
And for those that don't know, that plate kill is named after Stuck in a Plate. And how about almost a perfect pair in the process until the shoot came down. What a finish. Retro Runner closing this out 2-0, moving on this one. Well played from both runners here. Some heartbreaking moments and heart-stopping moments here in the second race.
That is a great race there from Retro Runner to pull it off. It's 2-0. So his official race time is going to be a 12:15. That's a very, very good time for having a death.
Yeah, especially extremely costly one, no less, too. But just he kept the gas pedal down throughout this entire thing. If I was Lane Rainer here, I honestly would not feel too disappointed based on the performances that he and Retro Runner put in for this one, hands down. The first round was definitely out of reach, and that's not a dig against him by any means. Top 10 in the world, and that's a really tough sell either way. But just some very difficult moments. I mean, this is the way that Ninja Gaiden can go.
Yeah, absolutely. A really great performance from both runners. As you said, that first run by Retro Runner is literally history in the making. So nothing Lane could have done about that. Really great race both ways.
Agreed. Great race to both. Wonderful entertainment and a great way to kick off. And guess what, guys? We got 3 more matches for you guys here tonight, no less. But it's best of 3. So we're going to take a brief break. and work on getting everyone set up here for the next one. But let's look at the tournament bracket here. So Lane Rainer, unfortunately, being sent home. Retro Runner moving on into top 4, solidifying his position in the next week. Next match we have coming up for you here looks like we're going to have Gray Skull versing BFOB. And the winner of that match will have to go on and face Retro Runner the week afterward. All right, folks. So, going to take a brief break here. We'll be right back with the next round. And thank you guys so much for hanging out. Keep it here for more Ninja Gaiden.